What is leadership? Obviously, it's about ability to develop a vision. It takes someone who can see the future. And as I illustrated to you, Professor Bafwa Jumendia says, look, there's nothing in this country like this. So I think you need to take that up as your project. Vision has to come to you if you want to be a superstar. And that vision must drive something, must have some end goal, must actually impact. And as Kwame was talking about, you must really look at how that entrepreneurship opportunity would benefit people, not necessarily profit or not necessarily money. Again, leadership is a process of social influence in which one person can enlist the aid and support of others. So you must understand that that process is not only you, it includes other people. How do you hold other people to come along with you? How do you make sure that people believe in your vision? How do you motivate the people in order that they can still go ahead or go along with you? And you need that particular process to be ongoing so that you can achieve the vision that you set yourself. Superstar leadership is ultimately about creating a way for people to contribute. So if you think you have to be the only reference point, you're not a superstar. You've got to make sure that you are creating space for people to contribute in order that we can achieve the end goal. Superstar leadership, how do you apply it? So you can learn to be a better boss, even a superstar leader through ongoing training, coaching, and application. And just as Kwame actually explained earlier on, even if you want to be an entrepreneur, at some point you need some coaching. You need to understudy someone, even when you have set yourself a goal that you want to become an entrepreneur. So again, if you want to be a superstar leader, you have to create that opportunity that people could be coached. So those under you, under your influence, what are the mechanisms that you're putting in place in order that they could be coached? And when you're coaching someone, it means that the person has to be much better than you, isn't it? So you don't coach thinking that you alone has to be the reference point and therefore have a wishy-washy character in training. Make sure that you're coaching people to excel so that they can actually refer to you as their one who actually coached them. So to become a superstar leader, you need to create coaching avenues. You need to be prepared to mentor people. And when you're mentoring people, you need to be wholeheartedly mentoring. Okay, so you have these 9-stage model for superstar leadership. Clear goals and expectations. Now, no one succeeds without setting themselves a goal. Otherwise, you don't know where you're going. So you've got to actually set yourself clear goals, and the goals are such that they are actionable. You know the kind of activities that you have to do in order that you can achieve those goals. Now, the goals must be clear, but of course, this goal must also lead to some expectations, which, of course, as Kwame articulated in the entrepreneurship, about solving problems, at the same time, perhaps a monetary gains at the point of, at the time that goal is actually satisfied. So you have to ensure that you have a clear goal and you have some set of expectation that you have. So first, much work is put into strategic plans, but rarely are they updated or reviewed. Most people would actually set themselves strategies. Okay, so most people would actually go to places of worship, 31st, write down some goals that they want to follow. But in the midst of the year, they will never review it. They will never visit it and see whether they're actually on track or they're not. What are the things that you have to actually do in order that you can actually fulfill that goal? But I don't blame us, because I think it's actually set in our society, isn't it? We go to school, our parents say, go to school, finish school, get married, get a job, be rich, and that's all we have, as if it's a linear process. We don't actually get informed that sometimes you would fail in one course or the other, and therefore you should be prepared for a reset. Sometimes you finish school and for about 2 years you haven't had a job, and therefore you must actually amend your ways. We have been trained to think that development is a linear process. But of course, if you want to be a superstar leader, you must anticipate some of these issues and then rework, your plans, rework your goals in order that you can actually achieve them eventually. It doesn't matter how long it takes you. It's about what you finishing and making sure you're achieving the end goal. Training. And as we said, you've got to actually identify training needs of your people. To be a superstar leader, you have to have a training assessment, a needs assessment, making sure that people have different competences, different competence level. If you don't understand that, you're not going to be a superstar because you don't assume that everyone is the same. Remember, cognitive competences actually begins from the stomach. It is exactly the time that you were conceived, the kind of food your parents ate, the kind of exercises they did. They all contribute to our cognitive abilities. Of course, our social setting contributes to our affective competences. So everyone has a different set of competences. A very superstar leader identifies these differences and makes sure that they make available spaces for everyone to be pulled along. Don't assume that everyone is like you. The self-reference criteria won't work. So make sure you make training available. Communicate, communicate, communicate. And this is one of the things that we're very bad as Ghanaians. I'll give you an example. I once went to GCB to transact. And by the time I got there, the lady who was about to serve me, I just said, "Oh, hello, how are you?" And then she goes, then she did this, beckoning me to give her the account details. I slept it. And then she does all that she could. Eventually, she just slipped it back to me after taking the money. And I said, "Oh, thank you so much. Have a good day." Such a person, when there's retrenchment, she's going to be the first to go. Definitely. Because she doesn't know the act of what? Communicating. Now, most of us don't know how to communicate. You first of all have to identify that we're all human beings. We all need to be spoken to. Now, if you're passing by someone and you don't say hello, when you fall down, that person is supposed to be the first person to pick you up. So learn how to what? Communicate. Learn how to communicate in all diverse forms, all right? Your non-verbal cues and your verbal cues. But especially in businesses, the respect for people is common. It's a common value that every human being deserves, all right? And when you respect people, they will feed you back with, respect as well. So you must learn how to communicate in groups. You must learn how to communicate individually. You must understand where to actually chastise someone. You must understand how to praise people. And it's all within the setting of communication. If you don't have that, then of course you are eluded with a superstar, leader. You can't be a superstar leader if you don't know how to communicate properly. So eye contact, and as I was telling you about this lady at GCB, doing this doesn't really establish a very good rapport. You want to look into people's eyes. Of course, culturally, other places could be rude, so you want to understand the cultural context of looking into people's eyes, all right? Especially when an elderly person is talking to you in Ghana and you're looking at them like this, you're going to say, "I didn't know what you said." So you want to be mindful, how to establish eye contact. In our case, you rather want to bow your head a little bit, lift it a little bit, that kind of thing, to show that you are following what they're saying. Now, finding common ground, and that's what a lot of us don't know. Now, when you want to engage in a conversation with someone, you want to look around you. And most of the time, the British people like it. I mean, they know how best to do it. When the weather is gloomy, they will say, "I think it's going to rain today." Then, of course, that starts a conversation. If it's about football, they will just bring it up and start a conversation. If it's about soap opera on TV, they can start a conversation. Majority of us don't know how to start conversations. And that affects us big time in terms of communication at work. Now, you have to establish a common ground. What can you say that the other person would also contribute? And start having a chat from there on. Immediately, you strike a bond. Immediately, you're actually establishing a fraternity, establishing a very fluid relationship between you and your people at work. So a superstar leader actually finds common grounds on which they can actually communicate. Remembering body language, using people's names, that's very crucial. Unfortunately, in our settings, you hear people, oh, my sister, my brother. And then when you go abroad in the international scene, my sister, my brother is not there. Now, when you say, oh, my sister, then they say, is he your sister? I said, no, I'm sorry, because we are from the same country. Don't use my sister, my brother at school. Learn how to use people's names. Now, one of the reasons why we find it difficult is because our society is very hierarchical, all right? Cultural context is very high. So it's difficult to use first names, to call somebody Kwabna or Kojo and things. By all means, you want to call someone boss, or you want to call someone honorable. I remember the Grassac were actually doing a poster for a program, and they put honorable in front of the director for entrepreneurship something. So I called the Grassac lead and I said, is this guy an MP? He said no. I said, so why do you use? Why? Because the two other speakers have doctors in front of their names. And it's finding it difficult to write Mr. John Kumar. So he has to put honorable there. I said, that's really unacceptable. Put his name there. It's Mr. So the society is so hierarchical that we find it difficult to use people's first names or to use their normal names. Don't worry. Try to learn. You will actually break that gap. You break that mold. So I use a lot of times people's first name because I always tell people, just call me Kobby. It makes it easier, and it makes it relational than just saying honorable. Honorable, it makes it difficult for you to even beckon the person. It makes it difficult for you to approach the person because at the back of your mind, honorable, boss, sister, oh, uncle. No, let's start using people's names, all right? And then, obviously, paraphrasing. We've got to learn how to paraphrase, how to actually cut conversations short, how to go straight to the point. I remember a colleague of mine just visited us last month. And then she goes, now I know why you write as you do. I said, why? So yes, she's hosting one of my PhD students. And her writing is exactly the same as I used to write. And she goes, Kobby, can you go straight to the point? Because the culture is such that we just run around before we say what we want to say. And it's affecting us in the way we write. So if you look at student writing, they will start background. And they write since 1957, and that's a we delve so much into certain things that going straight becomes an issue for us, all right? Let us learn how to paraphrase. Paraphrasing doesn't mean leave out the relevance, all right? But how do you actually piece up two different scenarios and still make the point? We have to actually learn how to do that. And that would actually make us superstar, leaders. Coaching, I've said that earlier on, making sure that you're coaching people ethically, you're coaching people to be responsible leaders. And of course, Jack Foundation is actually, giving that training to you. Make sure that you learn to become very ethical. Principle, hold it on. Don't do things to others that you don't want them to do for you. All right? And as Kwame said, if you want to be an entrepreneur, you want the money, yet you're insulting the people when they're coming to you. How would you then make money in terms of marketing? All right? Be sure that we are respecting people's individualities. You don't know whether somebody is a Muslim or a Christian written in their forehead. You wouldn't know that. So the only way that you would be able to respect people and respect their faith and their sensibilities is just to stick to what ethical principles, all right, and be morally right. Once you do that, you would hardly offend people. So make sure that you're coaching people ethically. You're coaching people the right way so that they would in turn impact on the society. Leadership is flexible. To be a superstar leader, you must be able to understand context and make sure that you fit within that. These days, we hear the word agility, all right? Agile leadership. Agile leadership means that such a leader appreciates situations. They are not cast in stone. They are not dogmatic, all right? So they understand that situations could actually change, or the society is very fluid, very dynamic. And so therefore, they are flexible and they adapt to these situations. So make sure that you have that established as your one of the leadership skills. To what extent are you able to change? Are you able to adapt to change? Some people, when they travel, they hardly can eat the food of the area. They hardly can actually associate because they're stuck in their fufu, yeah? So whatever they actually presented with chicken and chips, they say, no, I'm not for that. Yeah. So make sure that you can adapt to cultures, and then be flexible in the way you actually, lead. Recognition. It is very important that for you to have followers believe in you, you always recognize them every day. And again, that is something that we don't know how to do. How to show clearly, express appreciation. Sometimes people are telling you thank you and they look so dry in the face. All right? People are saying I'm sorry and they look so dry in the face. I'm telling you, when you go to England, when the British person is actually telling you I'm so sorry, you would end up feeling sorry for that person who is telling you sorry. Because they bring their whole body, the entire countenance, to show that they are really genuinely sorry. And the same way, if they're actually praising you and they're saying that you have done well, they will bring their entire body to show that they really mean that they appreciate what you've done. But for us, we just say it in passing. Oh, congratulations, thank you. And there's nothing that actually demonstrates that they really appreciate what you have done. So to be a superstar leader, you must show recognition, all right? You must recognize people in private and in public, and consistently make sure that they feel that you mean that they are superstars or they have really done something genuine. I think these are some of the, just about finishing, some principles of recognition. Be genuine, and be genuine means that you have to actually bring your entire body for people to see that you're genuine in what you say. Be specific, be personable, be immediate, etc., and be public about it. Promotions and incentives, just like the recognition, you've got to make sure that people are promoted, people are incentivized. Do not feel that by promoting people, they are coming to rub shoulders with you. It wouldn't work. Organizations, people must actually see that they are being rewarded for their hard work. Through that, people would actually deliver. Right? Continuous improvement, I think we have actually been talking about this over and over again. Recruit and hire winners. And as you're actually, going through this training with Kuford Foundation, they're teaching you how to become a winner. And even the clapping itself has some winning mentality in it, isn't it? So make sure that you're recruiting winners and you're hiring people who are winners. Winners in a strategic sense, that they would actually help the society.